Now, the worst thing about the government's broken tax promise, this tax increase on super, is the sneaky and underhand way they've gone about it. Not much could have been clearer than the PM's pre-election promise that there would not be any change to super.
Do you rule out any increases to super taxes and changes to caps?
We've said we have no intention of making any super changes.
Pretty cut and dry to me. Then after the Treasurer Jim Chalmers started his kite-flying exercise last week, the PM said there'd be no major changes to super, as did the Treasurer. Have a listen.
Are you considering taxing at a different rate income over on the income and the superannuation deposits over a certain level?
Well, we haven't come to a concluded view.
But are you considering it? Because that's a bloody major change, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Oh.
I mean, I don't think people considered it to be a major change last time there were tweaks of that nature.
Tweaks, but you're talking about taxing at a different level, the income on superannuation, and that's not a major change.
I wouldn't have thought so, Neil. Depends how you do it.
Seriously, as if a tax increase to raise $3.5 billion is not a major change. But plainly, Labor knew all the way along it was going to attack the superannuation savings of the so-called rich, that the government has been working on these changes for months. It's no coincidence that the Treasury paper on these so-called tax expenditures, which detail what the government claims are $150 billion a year in tax foregone. Well, it's no coincidence that paper was released just half an hour or so before yesterday's super broken promise. Now, I know this stuff. I know how it works with Treasury papers and the Expenditure Review Committee debates. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. They have been working on this for some time. And likewise, the government would have been workshopping its justification. You know, that line that it's not a broken promise because it's not going to actually come into force until after the next election. They'll have been doing that with pollsters and strategists for months. In fact, it's hard not to conclude the whole business was premeditated from day one, well before you ever voted in last May's election. Bill Shorten lost the 2019 election because he was upfront about Labor's plan for extra taxes. So the strategists would have said, oh, we'll just deny any plans. We'll deny them, and like Peter Garrett said, we'll just change everything after we get in and justify it all by saying that it won't happen until after a further election. Now, never mind the fact that Labor's going to try and legislate this broken promise immediately, ensuring that whatever happens at the next election, all future governments will inherit this change. In big picture terms, what the government is trying to do here is drag Peter Dutton into a fight where Labor says it's on the side of fairness, and in arguing against the broken promise, the coalition is on the side of the so-called rich. But what I showed you last night out of their own Treasury papers is that the line between what's poor and rich under this government is anyone on a salary of $130,000 or more a year. Now, as I said last night, $130,000, that is a good wage, but by no stretch of the imagination is it rich. It's still around $90,000 less than what a federal backbencher earns. So Labor's rich at $130,000 individual is still paid a hell of a lot less than what a backbencher earns at $217,000. So see this for what it is. It's a return of the nasty class war rhetoric that most Australians thought was behind us. Now, surely wanting people to get ahead is the Australian way, not this. But a desperate Labor government gets desperate, don't they? I just hope this attack on aspiration dogs the government all the way to the next election. The challenge, of course, is for the opposition to make it that case.